Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racing Productions MC and producer. And joining me today, we have our special guest, Jason Hudgins. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's good to be with you.
Certainly. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. It's so great to have you here. Well, let's begin with an introduction. Please introduce yourself for our audience and talk to me a little bit about why you're running for this position.
Sure. My name is Jason Hudgins. I'm a candidate for Atlanta City Council District 10, which covers most of the west side of Atlanta. So Westview, Adamsville, Collier Heights, the Cascade and Benjamin E. Mays corridors are all a part of the district. I am a former community president. I was president of Westview for 5 years. I was a neighborhood planning unit chair over Southwest Atlanta and on the executive board for the past 4 years. I'm a corporate trainer by trade. Where I run a multinational training organization for the past 10 years. And really the reason that I'm running is I believe that running for city council is a job interview. There is a skill set that should be accompanied with the people who are in these offices. And I don't see, very similar to how I deal with on a day-to-day basis with my leaders, I don't see that skill set really present. We make policy based off of really bad decision making and bad processes. And I think having people that have a specific skill set, particularly around leadership, around collaboration, and having a results-based leadership model will do better for the city of Atlanta as we go forward.
Certainly, certainly. No. What kind of issues does this leadership style is able to tackle? What are the issues that you're really looking at that you want to focus on as you run for the city council seat?
Yeah, there are a couple really big ones. Of course, public safety is top of mind for a lot of people right now. I think we have to look at public safety much differently in the city of Atlanta. Crime is a symptom. And until we start to see it that way, that there are factors that lead to higher crime rates, we're going to forever chase the symptoms of trying to lower the crime rate. The safest communities in Atlanta don't have more police officers, they have more investment. And so until we deal with the economic investment, the economic issues that breed crime in a community, we're not going to be able to solve them. I also think transportation has to be top of mind in our city. It is not just a threat to getting people to and from. It's not just an issue when it comes to quality of life. It is an economic threat to our city. If we are not able to solve this transportation issue and the gridlock, we're going to lose out to companies moving to our city, hiring our citizens, people being able to build their businesses in Atlanta. It literally is going to kneecap our economy if we are not careful. And then the third really big issue is housing and development. The 10th district literally is the epicenter of the housing crisis in the city of Atlanta. I literally just tweeted out a image around affordability, and the difference is of affordability literally in the last 10 years in our city. We are losing housing stock at the lowest levels and the lowest price points. And while many people may say, well, I can afford a certain house or I can afford housing in a certain area, you have to think that when it comes to the economic viability of our community, we're pricing out young professionals, young families, people who don't make $100,000 a year. And what does that equal in our economy as a whole? It really does create a threat to the future viability of our community. And then the last thing for the 10th district is really equity. We have not gotten our fair share out of the budget. We have not gotten our fair share compared to policy in the past as we compare to, let's say, the East Side neighborhoods and some of our sister neighborhoods in this community. And until we tackle those issues, a child that's born in our district has a life expectancy that is 13 years shorter than a child born 9 miles to the north. 9 miles creates that much of a difference. And so those are the type of issues that we have to tackle, not just for the current state of Atlanta, but for our future.
Certainly, certainly. I'm from DC, and, I also see what's going on in other cities where a lot of people are getting priced out. Gentrification is becoming a huge problem. It's already a huge problem. So for any viewers out there who might ask the question, how do you tackle, let's say, the what makes crime happen, everything, we need investment and stuff in the community, but we also have to balance that with when it comes to affordable housing. How do you, talk to viewers about making that kind of balance? And, why are you the choice to be able to make that kind of balance and to make sure that investments are still coming into communities? People of color, people on a lower socioeconomic backgrounds can be prosperous. However, they are still able to live, work, play, and from where they are. How can we do that?
Well, what I will tell your viewers is, look at what I've done at the community level. When I was president of Westview, when I was an NPU chairman, I worked directly with our local businesses to hire kids out of our neighborhoods. We know that part of the crime issue is a youth crime rate. And part of that issue is not having viable activities that lead to the future of these kids, where number one, hope is a part of this, that if a kid grows up in a hopeless situation, they're more susceptible to these messages and people who will take advantage of them and use them in some of these, more illicit activities. We created internship programs with our kids in our local businesses. We partnered with a local chef in the community who is an executive chef to work with not just our kids, but connect him in through Washington High School so that kids could work in his restaurant, build a portfolio going forward, and then could go on to use that, whether they went to technical college, culinary school, or just had that life skill going forward. Also think that, when it comes to the crime rate and we talk about the investment, we have to look at where is crime living, what is breeding it at the root cause. We know that when there are a lot of blighted properties, it creates the opportunity for crime to live. And so we have to tackle that issue. And that's something that the city has not done. I would fully fund and add more funding to our law department. One of the issues around blighted housing is that a lot of these houses are owned by LLCs. And, I'm a policy nerd, so I'll try not to get too wonky, but, it creates a legal issue that provides more places to hide for people that have LLCs, and it makes it harder for us to demolish those properties. What our law department needs are more resources in order to go after, in the legal system, those owners, either to make them make changes and updates to their properties, or to allow us to tear them down if they are blighted. We also have to tackle this crime issue, though, from an economic investment side, from the wages that people make. Poverty is a driver of crime. It is, anytime you see any community where there are clusters of poverty, you usually also see higher crime rates in those areas. And so dealing with, and this is where the economic equity issue comes into play in the 10th district, that we have seen economic development be focused through Invest Atlanta and other boards around our city and other entities that are that work with the city council around the 10th district and not necessarily in it. If we want to increase economic viability, there's nothing wrong with going after the Googles and the Apples and the Microsofts of the world, but we also have to invest in locally owned businesses in the community. The data is clear. If you invest in a Black-owned business in the 10th district, 96 cents out of every dollar that you spend comes back to that community. They buy in their community, they hire out of the community, they're more likely to do community events. And so you have to attack it from the economic viability side of what are the wages that people are making, mitigating the current issues, and then on the back end, also creating a structure within APD that lends itself to dealing with violent crime. Most of the calls to 911 have some other issue around violent crime. So there's a mental health issue of why a situation is happening. There's a domestic violence issue. And so until we begin to invest in wraparound services of why crime is happening in our city, we're never going to deal with and truly lower the crime rate. We may put band-aids on it, but we're not going to solve the root cause issues.
Well said, certainly. So anyone wondering out there when voting begins, when does voting begin?
So there are a couple of important dates coming up. Number one, check your voter registration, because the last day to register to vote is October the 4th. And we know with the Secretary of State targeting particularly the communities on the West Side for voter purges, even if you registered as late as this past runoff, go to the My Voter page on the Secretary of State website, check your registration, make sure it reads active. That's vitally important. A couple of other things that we can do is and look out for is early voting begins October the 12th. So we're literally just a couple of weeks away from early voting starting. And then election day, of course, is November the 2nd, Tuesday, November the 2nd. You can also request an absentee ballot during this period. You can return it beginning October the 12th. Make sure if you request one that you return it or you go and do early voting. I'm encouraging people rather than using the drop boxes. We know those have been targeted by state officials. There won't be as many of them in the past. Use the early voting period. Go vote in person. Wear your mask, socially distance, but please make your voices heard.
Certainly, certainly. And I want to remind viewers out there that if you want to check your status and register to vote, you can text Team Racine to 40649. That's courtesy of headcount.org. Once again, text Team Racine to 40649. Pledge to vote, check your status, and register to vote. Now, before I let you go, Jason, how can people keep in contact with you, keep up with what you're doing, find out more about your campaign, and support if they need to?
100%. So first of all, my website is up and active. It's jason4atl.com. You can find out more about my platform, the issues that we've talked about today. I go into detail. I have a bunch of videos on there. And then the events that I'm also involved in. I'm doing community meet and greets. Every Monday evening, I do a virtual session where I'll answer anybody's on Zoom, anybody's questions that show up. And I'll stay with you as long as, in that session, as long as people have questions. You can also find me on social media, Jason4ATL on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My contact information is on all of those sites. You can shoot me an email. I'll answer you directly. And also, I will say this to your viewers, it's vitally important that we receive not just your physical support, show up to events. Definitely would love to earn your vote, but also your financial support. We know that anytime you challenge an incumbent, there is always headwinds there. This is a grassroots campaign, and without your support, we won't be able to amplify our message as we go through the next couple of weeks.
Certainly, certainly. And I want to remind viewers that all those links will be in the description below for this video. Jason, thank you so much for joining me today. Best of luck on your campaign. And I mean, it was fabulous talking to you today. So thanks for being here.
Likewise, thanks for being an amazing host.
Thank you. Viewers, please follow our social media at Team Racine. And most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.